What's up, guys? Here we are again, and this is the next video on the Bazooka taping. There's going to be a big series of machine videos coming for this specific house. There's over 21,000 to 20,000 feet of sheetrock in here. It's a big house. And in the earlier video I showed with the mixing of the mud, I showed you guys the prep that I do for the Bazooka and filling everything so the mud lays flat once it's taped. And again, you saw how to mix the mud for it. So in the earlier video, you also saw me put mud down or water down the back of the tube. And I put the tube in the water. I'm letting it soak up a little bit so that everything runs well. I did change my blade. Now, before I go into that, hold on. I got about a cup and a half of water inside the tube, and I'm gonna shake it like this. And I'm just gonna let the water get all on the inside of the tube. So this will allow it to loosen any hard mud that's inside the tube. And what it does is it doesn't put pressure on your cable, and it allows the plunger to go up and down smoothly. Now this is a North Star Elite carbon fiber tube. It's definitely one of my favorites. I've used Tape Tech, I've used Ames tools, tubes. I've not messed with much Columbia or other tubes. I had a North Star Elite before this that I loved, but I traded that one in. It was aluminum for the carbon fiber. And this thing is as smooth as glass. Now, you'll see here, there's certain adjustments you can make. You see the little black lever here where my thumb is down here. This can go up or down. If you need more tension, you just push it up. And that's gonna create more, you hear it clicking louder, it's making more tension. Now I like it a little on the looser side, so I'm gonna push it back down a little bit more. And as long as it's gripping those teeth and not going backwards, it's just gonna be real easy. The mud comes right out, it flows well. Now right now I have the inside open so I can load it with mud. When it's closed, it's like that. You push this down, it opens up. All bazookas work basically the same way here. When this goes back up, make sure this pin's pushed back in. That's gonna close the valve inside and not let any mud come out. Now, another thing you wanna make sure is this thing is clean, the loader. Because if you get a piece of drywall mud stuck in there, a dry piece, when you pump it, when you take it off the pump, this thing will start leaking when you're running it. And that becomes a nightmare. Mud gets all over the top of the tube and everything like that. So again, I'm using this tube because I love it, and I only use it for bigger houses. Like I said in my last video, for 14,000, 15,000 feet of board, that's a lot. Now, loading the tape, it's an easy system right here. You see the little green thing right there? You just flip that over, flip that out, throw your roll of tape on, close it up, go. Now, when you load this tape in here, inside the slider, you'll see there's a line on the tape. Make sure that line is facing out. If you have it turned around like this, you're putting the tape on backwards. If you put it in like that, right there, and you run it through your tube, all the tape that you put on through this Bazooka is gonna be backwards. So just make sure you're conscious of that. It might not need to be said for guys running the tube, but some of the new guys that don't run these tools, they need to know that. So that's the basic setup. It's pretty easy. Now for the pump I had full of water because I pumped the water in it the last time I cleaned out, and I left it full of water. So we're gonna pump the mud up through it now, okay? Now I saw a little bit of water in there, but see, the mud just pours right out. And that's what you want. You want it to pour. Now, when you're pumping mud, if you get low on the bucket, you're gonna hear a noise that sounds like it's like sucking a straw out of the bottom of a cup. If your pump does that, it's actually gonna pump air into the Bazooka and cause a blister. You don't want any blisters. Now, you see I opened it up, I pushed this in, pushed this down. I'm gonna put the tube right up on here, like that, and then I'm gonna pump it up. Now I'm putting my fingers, look up here. I'm putting my fingers in the top of the tube, okay? Because I wanna feel the plunger when it comes up. Now earlier, like I said, I put water in it, which it released all the dry mud in there. And I'm not forcing the mud into the tube, okay? For you hand finishers, you know, I hand finished for 15 years, and I did big houses, little houses. I've done houses this big by hand. You know, they take longer to do. Now, again, I'm taping the ceiling first. And the reason I'm taping the ceiling is because I want to be able to reach my butt joints up higher on the sidewalls. When I'm going around my sidewalls, I can hit my butt joints at the flash cross on 9 foot, and I don't have to wipe them from the floor. Now, a lot of guys do this stuff off the floor, and they use wiping blades and such like that. Well, me, I like to be up close and kind of personal with my drywall. It sounds kind of funny, but the reality is I do. Now, I'm going to spin this a little bit to get the plunger coming. You see the layer of mud starts to come right out of the top there. Now, I'm doing my butt joints first. Now, if you see, I angled the tube a little bit. This is going to prevent the mud from falling off the ceiling. You don't want the mud to be all over the floor. I cannot stand a dirty house. So if you just angle it a little bit, then you're going to be fine. Now I'm going to do all the butt joints I can right here, and I try to cut just about perfect. See, I want those pieces of tape tight up against these corners. Now this will take some practice for most of you guys, and you're not going to get it. But when the angle, you're not going to get it right away. But when the angle crosses and tape crosses, you want it to all tie in together, so it's stronger. Now I prepped these butt joints earlier, I told you. Now when I wipe them down, they're going to be perfectly flat. And it's going to make it easier for the machine. Now with practice, like I said, you're going to be able to make these cuts almost perfect. So they're right up in those corners. Okay? Now, all I'm going to do now is I'm going to run this last little piece here. Okay, I'm not going that fast for video purposes, and I'm working by myself. So it's you know, I'll make better time than taping by hand. So I like with an 8-inch knife, and I like to use hide blades. I've used hide knives for as long as I can remember. Now this is a 6, but here's my 8. Okay. And it's easy, I start kind of there, and you know, I could go all the way across, but I'm not getting mud all over this house. That's one reason why I get a lot of work, is because I keep these houses clean, neat, and they don't have problems. I spend the extra time to prep them, and I'm not coming back to fix a lot of things. So in these next series of videos, you're going to see a complete machine finish. That should come out absolutely perfect. And it might take this house here, you know, it's going to take 3 weeks for me to do. I've got a couple small jobs that, not many, I've got 2 smaller jobs that I need to do that I'll slide in the meantime. And right now the economy is crazy. And if you're a good finisher, you should have no problems finding work. And if you are a finisher that needs work and you're quality and you want to learn a little extra, please come along for the ride. I will gladly hire you and teach you how to do it like this. Now that we got just one ceiling, and that's all I'm going to concentrate on right this second. It's just one ceiling for you guys. So we'll start over here. Now, again, you want to angle. You give it a little roll. If you notice, I gave it a little roll. That's to make sure the mud's coming out. Now, I'm angling a little bit. If it pulls for any reason, push it back. You know, a lot of guys will let it pull, and then they'll have gas in between their next piece of tape. You want to make sure you're close here. You want to make sure you're almost a perfect cut. Now, that's just gauging the distance of the cut. You'll see it a few times to get it. You see I added a little extra that time, so it could pull a little bit. I don't have a lot of tension on my wheel, which is actually helping it some. Now this one ends at an angle. Now let me show you something here. If you could zoom in here, you see this? This is the part of prepping that I was explaining earlier. You can barely see that. Now, a lot of guys are gonna go right over this right here. And I'll tell you what, in about I don't know, 4 or 5 years, any part of this that's loose, okay, this is loose, is going to crack. There's no other way around it. So if you just take the little simple minute or two to remove this, okay? Now, yes, it's an extra step. People don't want to slow down because there's piece workers. So there's guys that, you know, I get paid by the foot, but I'm not going to come back and clean up this house when I'm done because it's going to be absolutely perfect. So I'll fill out a little bit of mud, even though the Bazooka will probably leave enough mud behind it. So I'm going to start over here because that's an angled wall. And I'm going to go to the angled wall. I gave a little extra there, see, so it can pull a little bit off that edge. Now, can I take faster from the floor? Definitely. But again, for video purposes, I'm gonna do it like this. Now what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna tuck that under because there's gonna be a little bit of stretch when I wipe it, you'll see. So, wiping down these, you know, you can go like this. That looks like crap, eh? You see it? You see the big line in there? Now let's push on it a little bit, and you'll see it pulls right out. Now any extra tape, I want that super square. I don't want to leave a lot of stuff on it. Now see, you'll notice I'm also taking my pan down quite a bit. Now here's your stretch, see? And you can simply just give it a little pull, bam, straightens it right out. And there you have it. Am I fond of this tape? Probably not, but whatever. Okay. Now if I run into something like this, tomorrow, I'll take it like this, and I'll just go like that, and I'll fill it. Okay? Now see, it stretched a little bit. Here you have another one. Give it a little fill, like that. Okay? Now see, if you notice, I straightened my knife, I pushed my knife up. Now this tape is stretched because it's sick. I don't have somebody wiping right down behind me. So if I had somebody wiping right down behind me, I wouldn't have to do what I'm doing here by pulling. You're on the wrong side, bud. You need to be over there. You're literally showing my back. So, to me, it is much faster. If you have 2 or 3 guys, you know, I'm gonna get comments, so I can tape this house in, 2 days, a day and a half with a Bazooka. Well, there's 3 different rooms in here that are over 12 feet high. And there's probably 55 corner beads or 60 corner beads in this house. And it'll take me, today I'll hit all the flats. That's what I'll do. I'll run all the flats and buttons in here. And then tomorrow, I'll start taping my angles. Now, as you saw, I pushed that in, I flipped that down. As soon as the plunger hits my fingers up at the top of the tube, I'll stop. It's typically about 7 or 8 pumps. That's how long it takes. Now, again, you always make sure you flip this back, go like that. You give it a little roll, okay? Little roll. Give her a start. A little extra there in case she pulls. Now when I'm running from the floor, I can actually use the loader to keep it straight on the flat. But in this case, I just use the wheel and I look where the center is. Now sometimes I've seen guys put this up at an angle like this and the whole damn thing falls off the ceiling. So to avoid that, you just push it back up a little bit. Stick it a couple places. There's mud all along it, so it's not a big deal. If you go, I will show you one, no I won't. If you go straight on this and it starts dripping, it's gonna run all over your tube and all over the floor. And it is a giant mess. That's why I give it a little bit of an angle. And I'm looking at all the flats while I'm taping because I want to make sure that there's no breaks in the flats that I'm taping across. You can get carried away with a tube and you can start taping a house, you know, a lot of these guys will just come straight in, start running the machine. Next thing you know, they're taping across breaks and flats that have the little hairline crack down the inside from the factory when they drag it across the boom. And 3 months later, 4 months later, you're coming back to fix hairline cracks in your butt joints and in your flat. You know, if you don't V out your butt joints, you don't have to do all of them, but you actually want mud. You want mud to go inside that butt joint and connect to actual drywall, not just be a little piece of, you know, just a little piece of paper on top of paper in the drywall. You know, drywall, when I was younger, in my 20s, it was different. It had, drywall had actually little fiberglass pieces in it. Yeah, you find it in 5/8 now, but in the 1/2-inch lightweight sheetrock they're making, you don't find that stuff too often anymore. You'll see I visit my paint a lot. I don't wipe that fast. I don't need to. I want to make sure it's correct. You know? I want to make sure that, you know, stuff like this right here. That stuff right there, it looks like crap. But you know, you give it a little pull, another little wipe, you still have the gap. You just give her a little fill right there. And then tomorrow, when you come back and you're boxing, or the next day, in this case, it's probably gonna be 2 more days before I'm even running a box. But it's gonna be right. And it's gonna be ready to go. Now see, you start getting those wrinkles and stuff, you just give it a little pull. Tape just does this, it stretches. Not all of them do, you know. I used to have a certain teed used to make a mud called, or Marco used to make a tape. That was, it was Marco perforated. And it had little holes in it all through the tape. And that tape didn't stretch. It was awesome. It was a thicker tape. But the manufacturers, USG, and these other guys, they aren't making that tape anymore. Whether it's costing more money to make it thinner, I don't know. Or less money to make it thinner, I don't know. But that was the start of the Bazooka. Now one more thing, I'm gonna take 2 more flats, and I wanna show you something that I did not tell you in the video. Or didn't tell you in this video. So I'll start up here. And when you're cutting, okay? This is one of the most important things to remember when running a tube. Stop it, then cut. If you do not come to a complete stop, you will bind up this blade more times than you can count. You know, yeah, you're gonna get faster and faster at it. When I get on sidewalls, I'll go really fast and I'll show you guys the real speed of the tube. But up on the ceiling right now in stilts, I'm just going along and, you know, taking my time to show you guys these videos. Anyway, you guys have a great day. That's what I got on the Bazooka video. I did not show you what I was doing, how I was creasing. This is the wheel. If you notice, there's a wheel there. Now there's a lever back here. When you're holding it, you can pull it with your pinky, this finger, whatever you want, however you want to grab it, to make sure that wheel pushes the tape up on the ceiling. That's gonna save you a lot of problems too. But the most important things are stop the bazooka when you cut. Even if it's a short hesitation, you just pump it real quick and cut it. And angle the bazooka when you're running on a ceiling so you're not raining down mud all over the floor. Cleanup takes time. The less cleanup you have, the faster your job's gonna go. I'll carry on to the next video. It'll be the angles video with the bazooka and running angles and rolling and glazing. And I hope you guys come along for the ride on machining this giant house. Thank you.